Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest Minty Reviewspective for series number 4 of Doctor Who, of the Revival series from 2005. This one's from 2008. This is the 10th Doctor. This is actually their final season, or series, whatever you want to call it, and the companion was Catherine Tate's Donna Noble, which I was really looking forward to, and I really enjoyed a lot of this series, actually, but we'll get into that when we get into the review. Basically, what is a Reviewspective? You're probably asking if this is your first time watching one of these videos. If you are, hello. If you want to see the other ones, they're up here. But either way, a Reviewspective, what I'm doing here is basically I grew up watching the revival of Doctor Who, and that's how I got into the fandom of Doctor Who and got into loving the series. But with a lot of these episodes from the early New Who era, I don't really remember them that much, or I didn't remember them too much at all, because I watched them literally growing up as a child. Like, the show came out in 2005. I think I was like 8. I was 8 years old or something at that time when the series came out and when the series was revived. So it's been a very long time since I saw a lot of these episodes. And as we're getting through the years, I am starting to remember some more of these episodes. But I wanted to go back and rewatch each of the New Who revival series to see if it was like rose-tinted glasses nostalgia clouding my love of the series, or if it actually is truly a love of the series. And so far, with 3 videos into this whole series, well, 2 videos I guess is the third one, and then an entire reaction series to 9, I do still love Doctor Who. I very much still love Doctor Who. This is a very cool thing, going back and rewatching these episodes and experiencing them again, kind of with fresh eyes for the first time, and with a lot different of a mind going into these as well. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with a little summary of an episode, and then go into my thoughts about the episode after that, and then finishing off with a conclusion. So without any further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? And let's enjoy this nice Minty Reviewspective. Episode 1, Partners in Crime. Series 4, the beginning of the end for David Tennant's 10th Doctor, but let's not worry about that now, since it's a new series, which means a new opening sequence of our new companion walking through the streets of London. Except this isn't a new companion, it's the return of Donna Noble, played wonderfully again by Catherine Tate. Donna now works as a temp at Adipose Industries, a definitely not shady health company that is selling a miracle weight loss drug that has the fat just walk away. The Doctor and Donna then follow parallel paths as they both begin investigating this new drug by going and speaking to users of the drug. Donna speaks with a woman named Stacey Campbell, who is preparing for a date, while the Doctor meets with Roger Davey, who is simply at home. Both users report how they have no idea how the pill works, but that after they wake up in the morning, they've lost weight. However, Roger mentions that at exactly 1:10 a.m. every morning, his burglar alarm goes off. Some more talking happens, and Donna accidentally sets off the adipose reaction, in Stacey thus birthing a new baby adipose. Miss Foster, the head of Adipose Industries, then sets off a full parthenogenesis, and thus kills Stacey by turning her completely into adipose babies. The Doctor is also alerted of this and runs to find out what happened, but him and Donna barely miss each other, and they both go on their respective ways. While at Donna's house, we meet her mom once again, but more importantly, we see Wilfred Mott, and all is right in the world for at least a scene. The next day, both the Doctor and Donna go to Adipose Industries to investigate and somehow miss each other yet again. That night, after Miss Foster captures a spying reporter, Donna and the Doctor happen to see each other through separate windows, and a funny scene ensues of lip reading and charades. Miss Foster, however, sees all of this, and chase begins. Once reunited, the Doctor and Donna set off to find out what's happening and how to stop it. After some more running and a slight monologue from Miss Foster, actual name Matron Cophelia of the 5 straightened class Bindi Nursery Fleet Intergalactic class. Alien names, what you gonna do with them? That she was hired by the Adiposian first family to breed more baby adipose after the loss of their original breeding planet. However, this is illegal, and Miss Foster will likely go to galactic prison if she's caught. So she activates a mass parthenogenesis to cause anyone that has taken the adipose pill to start birthing baby adipose. The Doctor and Donna are able to stop this and meet Miss Foster on the roof, where a transport ship has come to take the newly born adipose back to their planet. Miss Foster firmly believes that she will be taken with them, but is sadly wrong, and the adipose drop her back to Earth, where she more than likely dies on impact with the ground. The Doctor realizes that the TARDIS parked itself right next to Donna's car, and Donna begins to load her luggage into the TARDIS. After a funny interaction of misinterpreting the word mate, Doctor leaves the car keys in a trash bin and tells a mysterious blonde woman to tell her mother that keys are in there. The blonde woman is none other than Rose Tyler, though. Anyway, the episode ends with Donna asking the Doctor to fly them by her backyard, where Wilf is stargazing so he can see her flying off on an adventure. So this series really started off with a genuinely great episode. Seeing Donna again and being able to experience the absolute perfect chemistry between Catherine Tate and David Tennant really is just magic. Being a series premiere, there's a track record so far with New Who where like the premiere episode isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world, and I'm happy to say that this series breaks that tradition and actually has a good episode. The through line of this magic weight loss pill doesn't really feel out of place for it to be in 2008, and also doesn't really feel out of place for now either watching it. It still feels like a fairly contemporary story that could have been done at any time between 2008 and now, and still would have worked, and still feels like a Doctor Who story as well. The adipose as well, just having these little cute CG balls of fat are really wild and weird and perfectly Doctor Who, I feel like, and they're the right amount of weird janky 2008 CG that just works. They're a little bit creepy, especially with how they're technically body horror things, but they're really cute and really memorable. I love the adipose, they're cool, and that's the thing that kind of like sets this series apart, is that there's a lot of really memorable moments to it that are just like there. However, there is a downside that I'm kind of ignoring for my overall rating of the episode, and that's just Miss Foster. She's really nothing. Like, yeah, she's the antagonist, but I didn't really feel much of an antagonistic presence from her, especially after, like, she actually said her whole plan of, like, hey, I'm going to use the planet as a breeding pit for the adipose. Like, okay, cool, alright. That just feels like a villain of the week thing, which, yeah, she is definitely a villain / alien of the week, 100%. But she didn't really feel that special, to be honest, but she's okay. But beyond all of that, I absolutely love this episode as a start of Series 4, and I think it is a perfect introduction, or reintroduction, I should say, of Donna, of her entire life situation, of her family, and of David Tennant at this point as the Doctor, who really feels like they understand the character now at this point, and the writers as well, which I'll talk about at the end in the full conclusion of this series as well. So this episode gets a 5 out of 5 for me, which is a bit rare in total, but is really not rare for this series, as we'll find out later on. But yeah, 5 out of 5 I think is a great introduction to this series. Episode 2, The Fires of Pompeii. For the first journey of the Doctor and Donna together, they attempt to visit 1st century Rome. However, they end up in Pompeii the day before Mount Vesuvius erupts. Donna pleads to the Doctor to warn everyone, but is told that Pompeii is a fixed point in history and thus cannot be changed. Donna rejects this idea, and they attempt to go back to the TARDIS, but it had been wrongfully sold by a merchant to the wealthy Caecilius, a local marble merchant, and played by the wonderful Peter Capaldi, who we'll talk more about later. Meanwhile, a secret sisterhood of red-hooded women discuss a prophecy that mentions the blue box. The Doctor and Donna eventually meet Caecilius and his family and learn that his daughter Evelina is some form of oracle, but is also becoming sickly from the process of getting her visions. The Doctor wins a battle of wits against the city's augur Lucius and is about to leave when he sees a marble slab that is cut to resemble a piece of circuit board. Compelled to stay, the Doctor and Donna speak with Evelina about her prophecies, and she basically airs out all of the dirty laundry in the vaguest ways possible. Donna also learns shortly that Evelina is suffering from some disease that is slowly turning her into stone. After some more lore, the Doctor tasks Caecilius' son Quintus with taking him to Lucius' house to investigate and find more circuit board pieces. But having been caught by Lucius, attempts to figure out what's going on, only to be rejected by this and rips off the completely petrified arm of Lucius before escaping. Lucius then prays to the gods, and a creature of fire, stone, in 2008 CG attacks the Doctor and Caecilius' house. Afterwards, the Doctor realizes that Donna is not around and finds that she was kidnapped by the Sibylline Sisterhood, which is the hooded figures from earlier. The Doctor arrives just in time, and we all learn that the people of Pompeii are being turned to stone by a race of aliens called the Pyroviles, who also happen to lose their planet. The Doctor and Donna escape through a grate and run into Mount Vesuvius, where they find more Pyroviles, Lucius, and a broken escape pod. Soon they realize that the circuit boards were to be used by the Pyroviles to conquer Earth by siphoning energy from Vesuvius to transform millions of people into Pyroviles. A trolley problem presents itself, and the Doctor decides to save all of Earth, but sadly means that Pompeii will get destroyed. Before Vesuvius is able to destroy the entire city, the Doctor returns to Caecilius' house and saves his family. As they watch the lava destroy the city, the family grieves and Caecilius calls the mountain a volcano for the first time. The Doctor then officially welcomes Donna on board the TARDIS as his new companion to keep him honest. The episode ends with a flash forward to 6 months later, where we see Caecilius and his family living in Rome and all moving on with their lives, while showing that a new marble by bas-relief is in their house depicting the Doctor, Donna, and the TARDIS as their new household gods. So to start off, we get 2 appearances of future Doctor Who alumnus in this episode, which is kind of a bit wild for me to think about, though going back and rewatching these episodes, it is amazing to me how many just random, really big name actors are just in these episodes. So it shouldn't be that big of a surprise, but it kind of is. But Fires of Pompeii, I already knew that Peter Capaldi was in this episode. I didn't remember what his character was or who he was or anything in the episode when I originally watched it, because I didn't know who Peter Capaldi was until after he began the 12th Doctor. But seeing him again was great. However, this episode also, one of the sibling sisters is as Karen Gillan, who goes on to be Amy Pond, actually, next series with Matt Smith, which is kind of funny. Like, I don't think her character actually has a name at all in the episode. She's just there. But it's just kind of funny how, like, this episode has 2 really important characters in future Doctor Who. And that's just a cool thing about Doctor Who in general, where, like, sometimes they just recast older actors from older episodes as more important characters later on. And I really love that. It just kind of keeps it in the family a little bit. Kind of, brings them on. However, beyond all of that, I really like this episode a lot, and this was one of the ones I was really looking forward to watching because I did not remember anything about it. I remember the episode existing, and I remember the general premise of the episode of them going to Pompeii and then the volcano erupting. I forgot all the alien presence in the episode. I forgot anything about the plot, and I forgot basically everything about the episode. So re-experiencing this again was really fun and really cool, and I went away from the episode really enjoying it. The Doctor and Donna relationship really gets put on display here, and it's just great. It's just great to see, because we get Donna learning the lesson of you can't always save everyone, but then the Doctor also learning the lesson of maybe it's okay to try, though. And I know it's a lesson the Doctor already knows because of obviously the Time War and everything they've been through, but it's good that Donna is there to re-exaggerate it and to re-emphasize that lesson of, hey, it's okay to try and save people, even if it messes up time a little bit. It's okay, because we're human. You're not, but we're human. We like to save people. Another great highlight is just the guest characters in this episode, the guest stars. Capaldi being the main one. Peter Capaldi always gives 110% to every role he's in, and I love him for it. I absolutely love Peter Capaldi in general, and him as Caecilius in this episode is great. He feels like an actual companion for the Doctor, even though he's just kind of off doing his own thing, but he has so much life, so much vibrance for ultimately a guest character. But he's great. I love him, and I can definitely see why they brought him back for the Doctor later on in the 12th iteration. And also, he's a massive Doctor Who fan as well, so that makes sense too. But he's great. He is definitely a highlight of the episode. The other cool thing I really like about this episode is the Pyroviles. I really like their design, and I really think they're a really neat and interesting alien in general. And I really want to see them again. I don't remember if we do ever see them again or not, but I really like the idea of them. And also, to go back on Capaldi real quick as well, I do like the very subtle acknowledgement in this episode that is then paid off later in Matt Smith's series, and then obviously 12 as well, of how the Doctor sometimes chooses faces of people that he has befriended or people that he knows from the past, and that kind of is the explanation of why we get some of the same actors again and again, which is just cool. I like that little meta contextualization of that. But overall, I love this episode a lot. Like, I really, really love this episode, and it's another 5 out of 5 for me, and I'm glad I was able to experience it for the first time again, with completely fresh eyes and having no backing from it before. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. Episode 3, Planet of the Ood. Episode 3 sees the Doctor taking Donna to her first alien world, this time being the Ood Sphere, which means we get to see everyone's favorite servant race again, the Ood. However, this is not as fun of a trip as intended, since some of the Ood have started to experience symptoms of red eye, which is the same issue that affected the Ood back in The Impossible Planet in Series 2. As the Doctor and Donna make their way into the business center of Ood operations, they learn about something called the Circle from an Ood who has started to experience red eye. The duo are then shown the brutal conditions that the Ood are kept in by the humans. The Doctor laments how they couldn't save the Ood before and vows to save them now. After some investigating of a warehouse and the Doctor taking some well-deserved shots at humanity, the guards find them and a fight ensues. The Doctor and Donna are able to escape and eventually find a group of caged natural Ood that have not gone through the process of enslavement yet. Donna is able to finally hear the Ood song and is brought to tears. Both are soon captured and brought to the office of Mr. Halpern, the head of the company, and argue about the rights of the Ood. The rest of the Ood begin to turn red-eye as the natural Ood sing their song. After Halpern runs away, threatening to blow up the building, a group of red-eyed Ood enter and save the duo. After catching up with Halpern, the Doctor finally pieces everything together, and they see the central Ood brain, which is being held captive by a ring of electric pylons. Halpern then threatens to blow up the Ood brain, thus killing every Ood in the universe. Dr. Ryder, the head scientist in charge of the Ood operations, admits to lowering the power of the barrier, thus making the Ood brain stronger. However, Halpern throws Ryder into the brain, thus killing him. Halpern believes he's won. His main Ood servant, Sigma, offers a drink, which leads the group to realize that Sigma has been slowly turning Halpern into an Ood by putting Ood graft into his hair tonic. Once Halpern has been Ooded, the Doctor releases the Ood brain, thus freeing the Ood for the first time in over 200 years. As the Doctor and Donna begin to leave, Sigma tells them that the Doctor's song is coming to an end, but the song of the Dr. Donna will be sung for generations to come. And that is definitely not foreshadowing at all. So unfortunately, the 5 out of 5 streak for this season does come to an end with episode 3, but it's not that big of a drop, I'll be honest. It's still a great episode, still a really good one. It's just not a perfect 5 out of 5 for me. Planet of the Ood is a good episode with a lot of good meaty bits to it with an overall message of how horrific capitalism can be. And yes, we're aware of this. The Ood are a neat reoccurring alien for the Davies era, and I'm glad that we got an explanation for them as a species, since we didn't get that in the Impossible Planet or the Satan Pit or any of the other few times we've seen them before. So I'm glad we got an actual explanation for the Ood in general. And sometimes it's just nice to get some background on some of these side species of aliens that we see every once in a while. The revelation of the speech orbs being their brains actually still surprises me, and is kind of a cool little, like, subversion of expectations there, and it's kind of cool. It's actually like kind of neat to do that. However, this episode just doesn't hit all of the notes for me for some reason. Maybe it was just the antagonist of the episode. Mr. Halpern was kind of a weak antagonist, just like in episode 1 with Miss Foster. He just doesn't feel like a special enough villain for me, especially since the true villain was capitalism. And like, at this point, we all know capitalism is bad, and like, when we see it in a show, we understand. Like, we get it. Granted, this did come out in 2008, surprisingly before the financial crisis, so maybe we weren't as aware of how bad capitalism was at that point. So maybe just a watching back on it now. But there's just a few things that just didn't really hit for me in this episode, and I can't really explain what they are because I don't really know, but it just didn't fully hit for me. So the episode itself gets a 4 out of 5 for me, which is still really good, but it is not a 5 out of 5. Episode 4, The Sontaran Stratagem. Welcome to the first 2-part episode of the series. Woo! This episode finds the Doctor and Donna teaming up with the Doctor's former companion Martha Jones, who now works for UNIT. The group are investigating a strange incident of 52 people dying in their cars at the exact same time across 11 different time zones. The only thing that seems to link the deaths is that all of their cars had the Atmos device installed. While the Doctor and Donna get caught up to speed on what's been happening, 2 UNIT soldiers stumble upon a secret room underground and are quickly defeated and brainwashed by a squat armored figure that announces himself as General Stahl of the 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet. That's right, the Sontarans are behind this, but this is also the first time we're seeing the Sontarans for New Who. We return to the Doctor, who has learned that the Atmos devices are very advanced but not alien in nature, and Donna learns that all of the workers at the Atmos Reviewspective have had no sick days on file, which is extremely odd. The Doctor learns of Luke Radigan, who created the Atmos device, and begins to leave to pay him a visit while Donna decides to go home and check on her family. Once in the Radigan Academy, the Doctor meets with Luke and quickly deduces that all of the experiments being done at the Academy revolve around terraforming a planet, and that Luke has a teleport pad in his office which leads directly to the Sontaran spaceship. General Stahl follows the Doctor back through the teleporter and is bested by the Doctor, so he orders his second-in-command, Commander Skor, to begin their invasion. Skor teleports to the lab on Earth and presents an identical clone of Martha to her that then takes on all of her memories and ultimately takes her place for the remainder of this two-parter. Even when not being the companion, Martha somehow gets screwed over. After a failed attempt at killing the Doctor, they meet back up with Donna before the Atmos devices activate, spewing out clouds of poisonous gas across the globe. The episode ends with our heroes in dire straits as Wilf is trapped in a car about to choke on the poisonous gas while the Doctor tries to figure out what to do. The Sontarans are great. The return of Martha is great. The Doctor and Donna being a great team, with Donna using her actual skills to help out in unique ways, is great. But something just didn't fully connect for me in this episode. Maybe it was just the two-part syndrome, where they're extending a story just a little too much that didn't need it. Maybe it was the Crypto Bro Professor X Luke that I absolutely could not stand and kept making fun of in my notes. And yes, I kept calling him Crypto Bro because I forgot what his name was when I was watching the episode until the very end. I'm like, oh, his name's Luke. Okay, cool. Maybe it was Martha getting replaced by a clone, and yet again not having anything to do, even outside of her series, which is a running theme, it seems, for Martha, which sucks. It just sucks. She deserves a lot better. I don't know. Something about it just didn't click for me. That all being said, I still do like the episode, mainly because the Sontarans are such a fun and silly Doctor Who alien that also come across as a threat when they need to be. Because, like, the Sontarans are an entire clone species that were bred to go to battle, and it's basically like having an entire species of just Dracs, where it's like, cool, they don't necessarily understand metaphors, or they fully do and they don't care, and they're just like single-mindedly like, nope, we're going to war. And it's like, that's just kind of funny, especially with how like dry they are, and also the fact they look like potatoes. That's just really funny as well. But beyond the Sontarans, everything else in the episode just felt okay. And again, I think it's because the episode just, like, the whole story felt a little too stretched than it needed to be. Like, this didn't need to be a two-parter, which I'll talk more about in the next part. But overall, it's still fine. It gets a 4 out of 5, just like Planet of the Ood does. But there's just missing something in it. Episode 5, The Poison Sky. Picking up where the last episode left off, Donna's mom, Sylvia, is able to break Wilf out of the car using an axe. The Doctor, Donna, and their unit escort make their way back to the factory where Unit is stationed. After arriving, the clone Martha begins to pull some strings for the Sontarans. The Doctor goads the Sontarans by insulting their battle plan, and then Unit decides to try and nuke the Sontarans, which the Doctor firmly disagrees with doing. However, clone Martha continues stopping the launch since that's not in the Sontarans' plan. Meanwhile, Luke tries to convince the students to go with him to terraform and repopulate the planet Castor 36. However, all of his students laugh at him and immediately leave. Back at Unit, the Doctor calls Donna using Martha's cell phone and guides her through the Sontaran ship to unlock the teleporter pads. Fighting breaks out between the Sontarans and Unit, and the Doctor finds the cloning room and explains that he knew Martha was a clone the whole time due to how she smelled. The clone confesses that the gas is actually clone feed, and the Sontarans were going to use the Earth as a cloning planet to bolster their military. With the gang back together, the Doctor teleports into Radigan Academy and quickly builds a device to clear the skies by burning the gas. Knowing the Sontarans won't retreat, the Doctor reconfigures the device to be a bomb that quickly teleports to the Sontaran ship, ready to sacrifice himself if needed to defeat the Sontarans. However, Luke finally grows a conscience and switches places with the Doctor and sacrifices himself instead, thus stopping the Sontaran invasion. Martha returns to Unit, Donna says goodbye for now to Wilf, and the TARDIS flies off on to their next adventure. So this one pretty much had the exact same issues that I had with the first episode, with it just feeling like it was doing stuff to take up runtime of the episode because they had to extend it to a two-parter when it didn't need to be. And ultimately, this episode didn't feel like it needed to be a two-parter. It felt like it could have just been a one-part episode and not had to worry about anything else. Like, there's actually a few other episodes in this series, like this series alone, that could have probably warranted being two parts. This is not one of them, but it's still fine. Like, I don't really have much to say about this one because it did suffer from the two-part syndrome of the second part just not doing that much because they already set up everything before. Now they just need to wrap it all up now. So, wrapping it all up, throwing in a bunch of action. The action scenes were fun, I will say. Seeing the Sontarans be the Sontarans, seeing humans fighting the Sontarans. Getting Martha back finally was actually great. Yay, we actually got Martha back for a whole 5 minutes. That's hyperbole, but you all know what I mean at this point. The episode's fine. It's fine. It's a 3.5 out of 5. It, unfortunately, like I said, suffers from the two-part syndrome of just being a story that didn't need to be 2 parts, and the second part just being the wrap-up that it could have been 1 episode and been fine. Episode 6, The Doctor's Daughter. With the Sontarans dealt with, Martha tags along with the Doctor and Donna for a quick off-world adventure. The group land on the barren planet Messaline and are quickly met by a group of armed soldiers that comment on how clean the Doctor's hands are. The soldiers grab the Doctor and throw them into a machine to be processed, which basically just takes a DNA sample and creates a genetic offspring. After the machine smokes, a young blonde girl walks out in combat attire and is handed a gun. Given the machine makes genetic offspring, that means the girl is the Doctor's daughter, as the title of the episode implies. Who is later given the name Jenny and is played by Georgia Moffat. Very quickly, the group learned this planet is actually the battleground for an ongoing war between the humans and fish-like aliens named the Hoth. Martha is split up from the rest of the group and befriends the Hoth, while the Doctor, Donna, and Jenny all learn about an object called the Source, which would allow them to win the war with the Hoth. After some meddling with a holographic map, the Doctor is able to find a previously unknown route to a temple with the Source, which also displays on the map the Hoth have as well. After some arguing with the military leader of the humans, a man named Cobb, the Doctor, Donna, and Jenny all are thrown in prison. They all have some character moments with the Doctor finally accepting Jenny as his daughter, given that she has 2 hearts just like him, and Donna sees more plaques that appear to be counting down. The trio escape their cell after Jenny seduces the guard, and make their way to the Source. Meanwhile, Martha and her Hoth friend Peck that she saved earlier make their way to the surface of the planet to find that it isn't deadly at all, just barren and empty. Peck soon after dies in quicksand after saving Martha, while the others make their way through the tunnels. After a solid amount of maneuvering through the tunnels and the surface, everyone meets back up at the temple, which is actually the original ship that was taken by the humans and Hoth to get to the planet, but it's in very good condition for it to have been abandoned for generations. Turns out, generations only meant about 7 days, and that with each generation of people made from the progenitor machines, their memories of the past got a little more hazy. The humans and Hoth arrive and have a showdown for the Source, which turns out to be a terraforming gas to make the planet habitable for them all, and the Doctor smashes the Source, which starts the terraforming process. The war is over and the Hoth and humans lay down their weapons except for Cobb, who wants to shoot someone and accidentally shoots Jenny, killing her for now. Upon departing, the Doctor realizes that the TARDIS brought them to the planet because of Jenny, but in doing so called to paradox since they were the ones that ultimately created Jenny as well. The episode ends with the humans and Hoth giving Jenny a funeral only for Jenny to be revived and runs off with the ship to explore the universe and save people like the Doctor. So we get a nice 2 companion episode as we get an actual adventure with both Donna and Martha, and it's a good one too. I really like this episode. Martha's actually allowed to do something, and it feels really good because she hasn't been able to do that in any of the episodes she's been in, minus like 1 or 2 instances. So it's cool to see Martha doing stuff. And also, Freema Agyeman is really good interacting with these fishmen. Like, she's just great acting opposite the people in costumes. Also, the fishmen look cool. I like the Hoth, they're really cool. And Donna is yet again a low-key, really perceptive character, and her skill set is so unique in terms of Doctor Who that I find it really intriguing and really interesting how she was able to do stuff, and just the fact that no other companion had done it beforehand, because she was a temp, she's a secretary for the most part, so she's noticing like numbers, and she's noticing like analytics and data stuff that not any of the other New Who companions were noticing because they weren't that. So like, it's really cool seeing her skill set actually on point here. However, this episode introduced Jenny. And the actress, funny enough, is actually married to David Tennant. They actually met in this episode and then kind of fell in love and started dating afterwards. And then they got married a year later and also had a daughter. Very cool. Very lovely. I love to hear it. You'd love to see it. But, like, Jenny is a great character that was introduced in New Who. because she is the introduction of the idea, planting it into the audience's mind, of the fact that there are more Time Lords out there. Like, yeah, we already know about the Doctor, we know about the Master for sure, but there are actually other Time Lords out there, and there can be other Time Lords out there. And even though Jenny is technically a genetic duplicate, clone, offspring, whatever you want to call it, from whatever the science fiction device was that created her, it still has the idea there of, wait a minute, there can be more Time Lords out here. Especially with how the episode ended, with Jenny going away, like getting revived and going away and doing stuff. So it then again has the whole emphasis there of, there are other Time Lords out there. But beyond all that, I also just really love Jenny as a character. Like, I really, really love Jenny as a character, and I found out, because I wanted to know, like, did she ever actually appear in any of the episodes? Turns out, no, she never appeared in any of the episodes. She's mentioned in one of the specials, but she doesn't come back. However, she has a really robust adventuring career in the audio dramas and in the comic books, including one where she met the Fifth Doctor, which is even funnier because the Fifth Doctor is her actual dad. like the actual actress, Jordea Moffat, her dad is Peter Davison, who was the Fifth Doctor. So that's just funny. It's a really funny family tree there with Doctor Who. But I just love the idea of Jenny. She's a great character, and I love her introduction in this episode, and I wish they used her more often because she's just so cool. But also beyond all that, the entire episode itself being this entire idea and sharing the story of how information and how history can get altered ever so slightly through the generations until the story is just completely different. It's a game of telephone. It's this like generational game of telephone, which happens in the real world way too many times, and is how history is like said. Like, that's how history is done. Like, learning about history in school and then learning about the same historical event on your own, two different things, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here. This is an episode that showcases that very particularly and very perfectly, because whoever is telling the history is altering it to fit their motives. And since we learned the history of this planet from the humans who were fighting the Hoth and not remembering what was going on, we were getting a negative aspect of it. So that's just cool to see that shown in an episode, and shown so well, actually. I think the writing of this was really, really good. Also, the Hoth have a really cool design. They just have really, really, really cool design. So I didn't realize how much I actually loved this episode until I was writing the script, and mainly it's because of Jenny. But this episode gets a 4.5 out of 5 for me. And the only real downside is how long it took for the Doctor to accept Jenny as his daughter. But that also kind of is realistic as well, because sometimes there are just parents out there that just don't accept their children for who they are. So, like, I understand that too. This episode's great. This episode's actually really, really great, and I wish they would use Jenny more. I think she is a great character, and they need to bring her back. And honestly, now that Davies is back in charge of the show running the 15th Doctor, maybe we can get some returns of some of these characters that we haven't seen in a while. I think that'd be pretty cool. Episode 7, The Unicorn and the Wasp. Taking a well-deserved break from the action, the Doctor and Donna arrive back on Earth in the 1920s during a party of some sort. The group are introduced to a lovely cast of characters, including one guest played by Felicity Jones. Soon after, a final guest is introduced, and it is Agatha Christie. But the Doctor soon realizes why they are there, since the date is the same day as when Agatha Christie went missing. Before the Doctor and Donna can continue their train of thought about Agatha's coming disappearance, Miss Chandrakala, a house servant, exclaims that there's been a murder. And so the Agatha Christie episode becomes a murder mystery that involves the Doctor and Christie interrogating the guest, Donna investigating for clues, and a giant wasp terrorizing the manor, attempting to kill again. The Doctor is able to find out that the assailant is a shapeshifter, which would explain the giant wasp. More investigating and more murder happens, this time of Miss Chandrakala, and Agatha finds a thieves' kit in the outside garden. So not only is there a wasp murdering people, but the famed criminal the Unicorn is here as well. After some talking with Agatha and learning that the wasp is an alien called a Vespiform, the Doctor gets poisoned and rushes to create a remedy in the kitchen. After honestly a really hilarious scene showcasing the comedy of Donna, the Doctor is saved. Nightfall comes and all of the guests are gathered around the table, and the Doctor informs them that his idea for catching the killer is to poison the soup, but with pepper, which would interact with the Vespiform. However, a crash of lightning and thunderclap knocks open a window, which puts out all the candles, thus leaving them all in the dark. In the moment of confusion, the Vesperform strikes again and the unicorn strikes as well, stealing Lady Edison's Firestone necklace. With all the guests in the sitting room, the Doctor and Agatha begin their final interrogations to find out who the Vesperform is. Each guest goes through their backstory, thus finding out that Robina, Felicity Jones' character, is the unicorn. The Colonel is not disabled and has been faking it so his wife Lady Edison would stay with him, and that Lady Edison had a secret lover named Christopher in India that led to a secret child that was given away to protect the family reputation. It turns out Christopher was a Vesperform, so the Wasp that has been on a killing spree is Lady Edison's child. The Doctor then points out that Donna was correct in saying that everything had been playing out like one of Agatha's stories because the Vesperform is actually the priest, Reverend Golightly, and who had a psychic link with Lady Edison due to the Firestone linking them, and Edison was reading a Christie novel at the time. Because Doctor Who. Golightly, now cornered, changes back into a wasp and tries to attack Agatha. A chase ensues that ends with Agatha by the banks of the Silent Pool Lake where she was reported missing. Once the Doctor and Donna arrive, Donna throws the Firestone into the lake with the Vesperform chasing it down, effectively drowning, but releasing Agatha from its psychic grip. Being released by the Vesperform causes Agatha to faint and lose her memories of what had happened, which allows for the Doctor and Donna to leave Agatha at the Harrogate Hotel like is supposed to happen in history. The episode ends with the Doctor showing Donna a copy of one of Agatha's books from the year 5 billion, showing that her stories are truly timeless. Okay, so serious note here to start off. I need to note that the writer of this episode, while having written some of the better stories of New Who and its spin-off material, is also a horrible transphobe, and kind of has doubled down on that in recent months as well with the 15th Doctor's series coming out. So any praise I give to the episode is not on the writer, it is on the actors and the rest of the crew rather than the writer. With that being said, I also really, really love this episode. And it is mainly because I have gotten really into Agatha Christie mysteries and just mystery novels in general recently. So having a Doctor Who episode be an Agatha Christie murder mystery with Agatha Christie in it is kind of perfection for me. Like, it's kind of perfect for me now. Also having it set in the 1920s is so cool. I just like the 1920s. Most people kind of do like the 1920s. Visually speaking, time period itself, really bad. Aesthetically, visually, that's a whole different story. Visual in the 1920s, pretty good. So I really like that as well, and it fits in Agatha Christie mystery because obviously she lived during that time. It makes sense. However, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Vesperform. I think the giant wasp as an alien could have looked more alien, could have been a little more unique instead of just being a giant wasp. It's neat. It's a neat idea. It's a neat concept. Everything around the Vesperform, a little overly complicated, but that kind of fits a mystery vibe. It was like, okay, we need to explain everything. Let's over-explain everything a little bit too much, make it a little overly complicated. But I feel like the alien design could have been a little bit better. However, with all that being said, the whole episode, though, I really, really loved. I really loved how it was paced. I really loved how all the characters were introduced and how their stories came to be. I loved how it all culminated at the end. I loved the mystery vibe of it. I loved Agatha Christie in the episode, or the actress playing Agatha Christie for sure. I loved the interactions of the Doctor with all the cast, and Donna solving things on herself as well, and being just a lovely character. There's so much here I loved other than the design of the Vesperform. I give it a 5 out of 5, with the caveat that I mentioned earlier about the writer not being included in that 5 out of 5. I really like this episode, though. It's really, really fun. Episode 8, Silence in the Library. The second two-part episode of the series finds the Doctor and Donna traveling to the 52nd century to visit the library, a massive planet-sized library that houses all of the books ever printed throughout history. However, when they arrive to the planet, it's completely desolate of anybody, which is strange for obvious reasons. After speaking with a helpful, albeit very creepy statue, the lights begin to go out and begins the first of many running sequences for this two-parter. Eventually, the Doctor and Donna kick down a door and come to a relative safety. Meanwhile, a little girl is having a therapy session and talks about people breaking into her library and how it has been breached by something else. This plot point will certainly come back later. Anyway, a group of archaeologists then meet up with the Doctor and Donna, led by Professor River Song, played beautifully for the first time by the wonderful Alex Kingston, who apparently knows about the Doctor, but he has no idea who she is. Strange. The group then say they are there with a Mr. Strackman Lux, whose family originally built the library, and were there to find out why the library has been sealed off. After some talking and learning that the shadows are alive with creatures called the Vashta Narada, one of the team is killed, and they find their skeleton attempting to communicate with them through a process called data ghosting. It's very creepy, but also very cool. Meanwhile, the little girl is told that her reality is an illusion and her nightmares are reality. Not cryptic at all. After some more Vashta Narada scares, the Doctor teleports Donna back to the TARDIS, but the signal is interrupted and she is gone. Unaware of what happened to Donna, the Doctor and the team head forward while they're being stalked by Dave, who has been eaten and whose suit is now being controlled by the Vashta Narada. The episode with the group running into a dead end and finding another statue node that has Donna's face on it as it repeats that she had left the library and had been saved. So the second two-parter of the series is easily one of the best two-parters in all of New Who, or at least all of New Who up to this point. Silence in the Library is a very, very good episode that not only gives us the introduction of the Vashta Narada, which are a very unique, intriguing enemy and alien that goes into the category of, oh cool, this random thing can now kill me, to go along with the Weeping Angels and the Silence that we'll learn about later, and many other things. But it also introduces probably one of the best characters of New Who, if not all of Doctor Who, right up there with Captain Jack. It introduces River Song, who is, of course, played by Alex Kingston. We love Alex Kingston, we stand in this house. Now, yes, saying that a character is one of the best of all time is a very loaded statement, and I understand because Doctor Who has been on for 60 years. I understand. It is a big statement to say, and it is a very bold statement to say. However, I think she is. I think River Song is in that upper echelon of amazing characters. Again, just like Captain Jack. I think both of them are phenomenal characters to be introduced into the canon of Doctor Who. I love how her character is set up, because we don't know anything about her, but she clearly knows everything about the Doctor. So we as an audience are like, okay, who is this person? What is going on here? So experiencing the storyline from basically the Doctor's perspective, trying to figure out who she is, feels great, and it feels awesome at like how it's explained to us. And the fact that we keep getting just little hints and little nuggets of information without ever getting the full story feels really good too. And I'll mention more of that later on. But River's just a great character, and her introduction here was so wonderful. And of course, Alex Kingston just absolutely killed it with the acting as well, because she's great. And River is one of those characters, just like Jenny, where the introduction sets up a great growth and development for the Doctor as a character, where the introduction of their daughter forces them to kind of grow into this parental role, and now the introduction of River, who we'll find out more about later in the following series, kind of has to start asking the question of like, wait a minute, what happens in my future? Like, what is happening in my future? How do I know this person? And kind of has them let their guard down just a little bit, understanding that there are enough people out there that will be with you, that you're not always going to be lonely, which is kind of cool. It's a really cool thing, and kind of something I just thought of outside the scripting. But beyond all of that, beyond the introduction of River and all of that, this episode is really great on its own, just from an atmospheric and a tonal standpoint, because having this mystery mixed with a little bit of levity, mixed with a little bit of like suspense and horror with the Vashta Narada is really cool. And then having the setting be this planet-wide library is also really cool. Like, it's just a unique place that you don't really expect to see a suspenseful episode from. And also the Vashta Narada being an actual alien species that is just the shadows makes things easy from a production standpoint. It makes it really unique from a production standpoint as well. On a funny note, the Vashta Narada, when they're in the spacesuits, I do find it very hilarious that the skulls are just like Halloween prop decorations. That's great, and I think adds to the Doctor Who campiness of it, which makes it even funnier. The only downside for the episode for me are just the other archaeologists that are with River, except for Miss Evangelista, who I think is cool and gets a lot more stuff in the next episode, and Mr. Strackman, who is fine. He gets a little more stuff in the next episode, but he's ultimately just fine. Everyone else is really forgettable, including the whole joke of the two Daves, where we have Dave and then other Dave. It's fine. They're okay, though, but they are literally throwaway cannon fodder for the Vashta Narada. Also, the mystery of the little girl. I don't feel like is necessary for the entire episode, and I understand why she's there for the setup of what happens in the next episode. But I don't know. I think the little girl just took away from it a little bit. Maybe if like the doctor and the archaeologists were able to interact with her more, not knowing the twist that comes in the next episode, maybe that would have been a little bit better. I don't know. In the end, though, this is still a phenomenal episode, and it gets a 4.5 out of 5 for me because of everything else that I mentioned already, mainly River Song. Episode 9, Forest of the Dead. Picking up from the end of last episode, River uses her sonic blaster to get the team out of the dead end, while the little girl watches TV and sees Donna waking up in a hospital with no memories of how she got there. Donna is told that she had been in the facility for years now, a reality in which she accepts. Time in this new reality appears to progress based on Donna's thoughts, and she speeds through many years and eventually marries a man named Lee and has 2 kids. Back in the library, the doctor is confused by River, and the two argue until River finally whispers something in the doctor's ear, which immediately changes his view of her, and the two begin fully working together. After some more running from the Vashta Nerada, the group realized that the Vashta Nerada came to the library in the millions of books, given that they usually live in the forest, and their trees had been cut down to create the books. After some cryptic wording from River, the doctor finally realizes that the people in the library were saved to the central computer's drives until the Vashta Nerada had been dealt with. Meanwhile, Donna meets with a hooded woman who turns out to be a corrupted data version of Miss Vangelista, one of the other archaeologists who had died previously. She tells her that her world is not real, which Donna eventually believes, and this causes the little girl to go into a fit of anger, which also causes the library to begin a meltdown. Back in the library, the team head to the core of the planet and learn that the hard drive of the computer is a Charlotte Abigail Lux, and was Mr. Strackman Lux's grandfather's youngest daughter, who was put into the computer to save from an incurable disease, and is the little girl we've been seeing this whole time. The doctor then realizes that to save the saved people, the computer needs more memory, so he suggests plugging himself into the computer, saving everyone, but killing him in the process. The plan is to transport all the people off the planet, leaving the Vashta Nerada to live in peace. After the doctor threatens the Vashta Nerada, they agree and give them a day to get everyone off of the planet. River then knocks the doctor unconscious and takes his place as the link to the computer. River tells the doctor that this is what was meant to happen and that they will see each other many more times. But this is where her story ends. She dies, saving everyone that was saved in the library's drive. The evacuation of the library begins as the Doctor and Donna reunite. The episode ends with the Doctor realizing why they had given River a sonic screwdriver in the future, and rushes to upload her consciousness into the computer so that she may live forever in the computer. So, similar to the first part, this episode is phenomenal, and it is mainly due to River Song being such a phenomenally introduced character, and that Alex Kingston and David Tennant have spectacular chemistry together, and also, we'll see this in Matt Smith's season as well. Alex Kingston and Matt Smith also have phenomenal chemistry together, maybe because they're just really great actors. Sometimes great actors just have chemistry with other great actors, and you know what? Kind of a unique thing to say. But beyond all that, seeing the Doctor try to figure out who River is while River is not able to say anything, given that she's from their future, is so compelling. Like I mentioned in the previous one, it's just so interesting, because we as an audience are also trying to figure this out too, trying to like put together pieces and things that we're just having a pinboard here, just trying to connect some strings, and we're not being able to. But like the little hints that we're getting are so great, which then adds even more to the climax of it, where we find out what the twist of River Song is, and it's that we're actually not seeing her introduction, we're seeing her ending, which is mind-blowing to me, and still is. And honestly, if you hadn't watched Doctor Who up to this point, and you were just watching this now for the first time, that is an absolute mind-blowing revelation that we aren't seeing the beginning of a character, we're seeing the end of her story, and then going to see the rest of her story as we go on. That is such a unique storytelling standpoint for a character, and I understand it's based off the time traveler's wife. That's the idea they got for this character, and it makes perfect sense of how do you write a character who is in a relationship in a way with a time traveler that is seeing them at different points in their life. That is wild to me, but also such a great designed character. And we still, by the end of the episode, don't know who River is. We just know that she is very important to the Doctor, very important to the Doctor's future, and is a very important person in their life. And then we see her die. But not see her die, we see her get uploaded in the computer, but she's dead. it's whatever. We see the end of her story. Along with that, all the character moments with Donna in the simulation, I think are really good. The whole simulation aspect of the episode, I'm okay with. It's a give or take kind of thing. Donna makes it entertaining and fun though, just because Donna's a great character. And again, like I kind of mentioned in the first part of the episode, I kind of wish the simulation parts had been just a little bit different, a little bit better in a way. I'm not really sure exactly how to introduce that or say that, other than maybe have the actual library characters interact with the computer simulation a little bit more. I don't know, that maybe will take me from the suspense. Either way, it's still good, and also it's good to see Donna have a happy life, even if it was fake. However, the coolest twist in the episode, coolest twist, beyond River, is just the Vashta Nerada in general. And the fact that they aren't like a ravenous species that are like trying to kill everyone. They're just there because they're actually living in forest, and their forests were cut down to print the books, and then the books got moved to the library, so then they just moved to the library too. That is such a fun and unique twist, and I love some physical books. I have a bunch of physical books down here on my bookshelf below all the Funko Pops that are taking up way too much space. I love physical media, I love physical books, but it's also just kind of fun to have a whole horror thing be like, yep, nope, there's a creature living in that book because it's an old tree. It's a fun thing. It's a really fun thing. So even with the little bits of downside I had for the episode of just the simulation being a little wonky and a little weird for the whole storytelling aspect, I think overall this is still a 5 out of 5 episode, and it's kind of a little bit swayed because of the first part also being so good, but it's really because the introduction of Riversong and Riversong as a character is such a compelling and interesting character for the canon of Doctor Who, and the Vashta Nerada being the antagonist here and the whole setting makes for a complete package of almost a perfect episode. And it is a 5 out of 5, and it's easily one of the best two-parters, if not the best two-parter, in all of New Who so far. Episode 10, Midnight. After all the adventuring, the Doctor and Donna decide to take a leisure trip to the crystalline planet Midnight, whose sun emits deadly extronic radiation that can easily kill living creatures. The Doctor gets on a tour to see a sapphire waterfall, while Donna stays at the spa in the resort. Aboard the shuttle bus, the Doctor meets a motley crew of characters including Val, Biff, and Jethro Kane, Professor Hobbs and his assistant Dee Dee Blasco, and Sky Silvestri, a recently divorced businesswoman, along with their hostess. The trip begins with the Doctor disabling the in-shuttle entertainment, so that way all the people can talk with one another. They all get along and share why they are all there, and we get to learn about them. After a while, the shuttle stops suddenly, and after talking with the mechanic and the driver, learns that nothing is wrong with the shuttle to cause them to stop. The Doctor then asks to open the protective shielding for a few seconds just to see the surface, only to have the mechanic spot something in the distance that looked like it was coming towards them. With the shields closed and a rescue vehicle on the way, the Doctor returns to the other passengers and tells them not to worry. Unfortunately, the other guests start to grow suspicious of their situation, and the seeds of distrust begin to be sowed. A knocking then begins outside the shuttle, which furthers the paranoia of the guest. The knocking sound goes around the shuttle until eventually stopping on Sky, who has become hysterical. The shuttle is violently rocked and the lights go out, causing more emotions to rile up in the guest. When the lights come back on, Sky appears to have been possessed by something. The Doctor attempts to figure out what's going on, but the rest of the guests begin to argue about the situation and how nothing can survive on the planet, so nothing can be possessing Sky, even though she's clearly being possessed. Sky begins to repeat everything the Doctor says, and then eventually she is able to perfectly sync up with what they are saying. This further riles up the guests as they devolve further into paranoia as they become suspicious of the Doctor and begin to discuss throwing them out of the shuttle along with Sky. However, the entity in Sky begins to speak before the Doctor and slowly begins to take over the Doctor, paralyzing them on the ground. The entity, now fully in control of Sky and being able to fully speak, furthers more distrust among the guests as they all begin to verbally fight one another. The hostess realizes that the entity stole the Doctor's voice and, in an attempt to save everyone, throws herself and Sky out of the shuttle. The Doctor begins to recover and glares at some of the guests who continue to lie about their true intentions. The group sits in silence waiting for their rescue vehicle. Donna and the Doctor have a somber reunion as the Doctor is still haunted by what occurred and not knowing what is out on the surface of Midnight. But the Doctor intends to tell the leisure company to leave the planet alone and to not return. I'm probably going to get some flack for this one, and I am okay with it because this is just my opinion and we are all able to have opinions here. But I am in the probably vastly tiny minority here of thinking this episode was only okay. I can understand the hype for midnight. I can understand why people think it's one of the greatest episodes of all time. It's not for me, which is even weirder to say, because all of the aspects of this episode, if it were in another show or another series, I would have loved. I would have absolutely loved. But for some reason, just some reason, it being in Doctor Who and it being a story with the Doctor just doesn't fit for me. It just doesn't work. And I know we've had other episodes like this previously and like this later on, and for some reason it just doesn't hit for me. I don't know why. All of the acting from everyone involved in the episode is so good. The script is so tight and intricate. It's so good. The story is really compelling and filled with so many unanswered questions that we still don't have answers for in the Doctor Who fandom. It's great. The lingering feeling of unease the entire episode, and the inciting incident happens, and it's just so good. Like everything about the episode is so good, and I respect it and I adore it. I just don't like it here. And I don't know why. And this is probably one of the worst reviews of this episode. I don't know why. I just don't like it. It just doesn't vibe with me. Maybe, just maybe, it's because of the fact that the episode centers on the paranoia of humans and how quickly we turn to violence. Maybe it's that the episode shows the Doctor, an unshakable protagonist that we've seen so far, terrified, which is something that is also cool to see, but I don't know if I like it here. Maybe it's that we never actually get a resolution to this thing, which I'm also okay with not having answers to this thing and having it be a lingering mystery. I don't know if I like it here, though. Maybe it's just how the ending, everyone's just so melancholic and sad because of everything that happened, because of all the previous things I just said. I don't know. Maybe it's also that we didn't actually have Donna in the episode to lighten up some of the mood. Maybe, but also if we had Donna, that creature would have just infected her immediately, because Donna does not ever shut up, which is why I also love Donna so much. She never shuts up. I don't know. And it's a lot of questions I keep asking myself about this episode of like, why do I not like this episode? And I could not tell you the answers to them because I don't know. But I understand and I respect the hell out of this episode for what it does and what it's saying. It's just not for me, and I gave it a 2 out of 5, and it's the lowest one of this whole series, and I'm so sorry. I am so sorry for that, everyone. Episode 11, Turn Left. The sort of beginning to the sort of 3-part finale finds the Doctor and Donna enjoying a nice time in an alien marketplace when Donna is persuaded to have her fortune read by a fortune teller. This is an obvious trap, and Donna gets that feeling, but is almost compelled to begin talking about her life and her past. As she talks, a scuttling can be heard, and something crawls on Donna's back without her knowing. Suddenly, Donna is transported back to before she met the Doctor and must make a decision to turn left to go to her temp job or turn right and listen to her mother nag her. In the real timeline, she turns left. However, this time, Donna caves and turns right. Time jumps ahead to Christmas Eve when the Rachnos attacked London, only this time, Donna was not with the Doctor to keep them from drowning below the city. A friend of Donna's says that something's on her back, but Donna dismisses it. Donna is then met by a surprise Rose Tyler, who had been appearing randomly during the season, trying to warn them of something. Rose vanishes almost as quickly as she appears. Time jumps again to when the Royal Hope Hospital is taken to the moon by the Jadoon, and we learn that the only survivor was Oliver Morgenstern, who was saved after Martha Jones gave him her remaining oxygen before Sarah Jane Smith had taken control of the situation and returned to the hospital, but was reported as dying during the process along with her son Luke and the rest of Team Smith from her spin-off series. Donna meets Rose again and is told to go to the countryside for Christmas this year. Skipping ahead a bit, Donna's family is saved from the crashing Titanic that destroys all of London and kills everyone in the city, thus displacing a large amount of people. In the following months, Donna's family is relocated to Leeds. The Adipose invasion claims 60 million Americans, and Gwen Cooper and Ianto Jones are killed, saving the world from the Sontarans, while Captain Jack is taken back to the Sontaran homeworld. Rose then works with Donna to set things straight, and they go to a unit base where the TARDIS is located. While there, Donna learns that a time beetle has attached itself to her and is what's causing the entire timeline to be wrong. Unit, Rose, and Donna prep to send Donna back in time to fix whatever caused all this. However, Rose tells Donna that if she does it then she won't be coming back, whatever that means. Donna is then transported back to the day where she turned right instead of left, and realizes that she won't make it in time to stop herself. She realizes what Rose meant, and throws herself in front of a garbage truck coming down the road, thus killing herself, but stopping the traffic and forcing Donna to turn left instead of right. The timeline sets itself right, and the time beetle jumps off of her and dies. The Doctor finally returns, and tells Donna that usually the universe compensates for time beetle's interferences, but couldn't with her. Donna mentions Rose without saying her name, and tells the Doctor Bad Wolf triggers the TARDIS's cloister bell, as the words Bad Wolf appear over everything. The Doctor then tells Donna that it is the end of the universe. The beginning of the end of the series, as New Who loves to do their 3-part finales, where the first part is kind of its own story, but somehow still a 3-parter. It's weird. I don't understand how they do it, but they do. It's okay. But either way, this episode is similar to Midnight. It was mainly used as a way to save money during the filming, since they only had to film with just Catherine Tate, while they filmed Midnight with basically just David Tennant. And it's something that they did in like every New Who series, just to save on production cost and money, where they film multiple episodes at one time with only one of the actors, which is fine. That happens. And it's smart. It's a really smart idea too. But I do actually like that. I do actually really like that. I like the fact that they actually do have episodes focusing on one of the 2 leads, and the fact that this one focuses on Donna is really cool. And I like the idea of an alternate clip show type episode, just kind of like reiterating and like reinforcing all the stuff that happened from the Doctor's standpoint since basically Martha's season, or since the end of the Rose season, basically. I like that as an idea, and I think the episode works pretty well for the most part. However, I think the first half of the episode is really good, and the back half just kind of drags a little bit. The back half up until the very, very end. Also, having Donna-centric episode, but having Donna be pretty much a different version of her, feels weird. It feels like the Martha issue, but Donna actually gets to do stuff because she's the central person in the episode, so that's cool at least. But again, yet again until the very end, where it's like, okay, this is Donna, this is cool. So like, we spent the entire series falling in love with the antics that Donna gets up to, only to have her attitude just completely change because of the time travel shenanigans here, and basically see a completely different Donna. That's just why I don't really like it too much. But again, having an alternate universe clip show, kind of a cool idea, especially for a show about time travel alternate universes anyway. Really cool. So seeing the bad ending basically of Earth if there was no Doctor, kind of funny. It is kind of funny, and it also ties together the spin-off series as well, which is something that they're definitely doing this in this 3-part episode here, which I really like as well. However, also the full reintroduction of Rose was pretty cool. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. And as you all could see in the reaction videos I did to 9, which I'll link up here as well, I actually grew to really like Rose as a companion. Like, she actually really grew on me from what I thought about her as a kid. It fell off a bit during Tennant's first season. That's just because the writers kept wanting to write a romance series, and please don't do that with Doctor Who. But I think the reintroduction of her actually felt really cool, and her place in the last 2 episodes also felt nice as well. So like, seeing Rose again actually made sense a little bit and felt cool, and also felt like a looming omen for what was coming in the last couple episodes, especially with the reintroduction of the Bad Wolf idea as well, and the fact that we kept seeing Rose throughout the series as well. Pretty cool. But overall, I give the episode a 3.5 out of 5, because it's kind of right in the middle of the road for me, because I like the idea of the episode, but maybe the execution wasn't the best that it could have been, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. Episode 12, The Stolen Earth. The penultimate of this series begins with a massive earthquake as the Doctor and Donna return to Earth. Across the globe, the Doctor's allies, including Martha Jones at a unit base in New York, Sarah Jane Smith at her house in London, and Torchwood in Cardiff, all realize that the Earth has been transported to some other part of the universe and is surrounded by other celestial bodies that had gone missing throughout the series. Rose then materializes with a very large gun, while the Doctor travels to get help from the Shadow Proclamation. A lot happens following this, so let's summarize as best as possible. First, all the planets and the Earth were taken by the Daleks to power a cosmic-sized weapon. Second, Unit plans on using a terrible Plan B and tasks Martha with enacting it. Third, the Shadow Proclamation wished the Doctor to lead them into war to save all the captured planets. And finally, Harriet Jones gets in contact with the Doctor and their allies after using the power of a multi-show crossover to get everyone on the same page. They begin to call the Doctor, which ultimately ends up sacrificing Harriet Jones, but it allows the Doctor to track down Earth and begin to figure out how to help. Once in the location of the missing planets, a new voice interrupts the team chat, and the Doctor realizes that the voice is none other than Davros, the creator of the Daleks. After some exposition about how Davros is back, which we never actually get resolved, the Doctor sends the TARDIS to Earth while their companions begin to mobilize to defeat the Daleks. As the TARDIS lands, the Doctor and Rose have a touching reunion, but the Dalek is able to shoot the Doctor before a slightly too late Captain Jack blows it up. As the companions all prepare for the worst against the Daleks, the Doctor begins to glow as his regeneration process begins. Now, this is a penultimate episode. This episode brings together all the various spin-offs that we've had in the Davies era into one central storyline finally. We're bringing together Sarah Jane Adventures, bringing together Torchwood, bringing together Doctor Who in general, bringing together a unit series that never happened and might still happen at this point. We don't know. There's a lot of teases to it. If you're watching this in the future and this already happened, then cool. The unit series has happened. If it hasn't happened yet, then I don't know, they keep teasing it. It's going to happen eventually. But I love seeing all of these shows integrate together finally into the overall story of Doctor Who. Especially the time if you were watching all the series at once, just seeing this big crossover thing makes it really cool. I like big crossover episodes, especially when they actually work. And this works. Yeah, having the return of so many great characters as well from the Davies era made the finale feel a lot bigger, which is really cool. And unlike the finale of Series 3, with the Master completely changing all the time, this actually had like a manageable level of big deal, even though I know it deals with, I'll mention this in the next episode, but I know it deals with Davros trying to destroy all of reality. It still feels manageable enough beyond the Master changing all of time because they just captured the Doctor and made them into Gollum. It's weird. I don't like Series 3 that much, as we know of. But either way, beyond all that, this penultimate is really cool. Bringing together all the characters, great. The storyline, great. Seeing the Daleks again, iffy at best. It's the Daleks again, but this is actually the Dalek Empire, so But we've already seen the Daleks be defeated at least 3 times in the Davies era alone, so seeing them again, whatever. But bringing back Davros is cool, though, because Davros is a classic character from classic Who that's actually been brought back into new Who at this point. Very cool. I love to see that. I think they're also played by the same actor, too, which is really, really cool. Or same actor going forward, which is really cool. However, the cliffhanger ending was also wild to think about at the time period. A lot of shine taken off it now, obviously, because I'm watching back on it. But having the cliffhanger initially, when you were watching it, is like, whoa, they didn't announce a new Doctor. What's going on here? So yeah, it boosts ratings for the finale. It's understandable. I get it. I like it. I respect it. But either way, I like this penultimate. I think it was really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because of everything else going on. It felt big. It felt like a penultimate. It brought everything together. And then that cliffhanger was pretty cool. However, the only downside is I don't like the fact the Doctor didn't really get a chance to interact with the rest of Team Doctor until the next episode, or until, the end. But whatever, we'll talk about that later. Still great. Episode 13, Journey's End. We've reached the supersized finale of the series, and it is a lot for sure. The episode opens with the Doctor redirecting the regeneration energy into the severed hand in a jar, thus allowing their form to stay the same while also healing from the Dalek's blast. Meanwhile, Mickey and Jackie randomly show up to save Sarah Jane, while the Torchwood crew are locked in their base by a time lock. The Daleks then steal the TARDIS and take it to their lead ship, the Crucible. The TARDIS crew meet with the Supreme Dalek. The Doctor explains that this fight is going to be different since these aren't scavengers, but the entire Dalek Empire at full power. Donna remains on the TARDIS while the rest of the crew exit into the Crucible, and the Daleks throw the TARDIS into the ship's core to destroy it. While the TARDIS begins to erupt, Donna touches the jar with her hand, which causes the hand to form into an almost exact duplicate of the Doctor, who can pilot the TARDIS out of the core. Skipping over some more things for time's sake, we learn that the new Doctor Double is part human and has some of Donna's mannerisms, and that the ultimate plan by Davros is to set off a reality bomb that would destroy literally all of reality, because of course they went to do that. Meanwhile, Jack gets a warp star from Sarah Jane and creates a bomb, while Martha gets in contact with other unit bases to prepare to do their horrible plan B of blowing up the Earth. Davros then taunts the Doctor and prepares to activate the reality bomb, but Donna and the Doctor Double interrupt. This is short-lived as Davros then blasts them back with electricity and begins the countdown anyway, only for nothing to happen, realizing that the blast activated the Time Lord energy within Donna, turning her into the Dr. Donna, and thus basically now having 3 Doctors at the same time. After some science fiction teamwork, the Doctor and friends are able to send all the planets back to where they belong, only to have Earth remain after their device gets destroyed. The Doctor Double then gets the bright idea of committing genocide and does some science fiction stuff to destroy all of the Daleks, while Davros declares the Doctor as the destroyer of worlds. With only one problem left to solve, the Torchwood crew and K9 on Earth and the entire TARDIS crew figure out a way to use the TARDIS as basically a tow truck and move Earth back into its proper place. Just don't try to explain how they did it. Finally, back on Earth in its proper place, the TARDIS crew go their separate ways, all saying their goodbyes to the Doctor. Once all have left, the Doctor takes Rose and the Doctor Double back to the parallel Earth, where the Doctor Double has to stay, given that he is now a universal war criminal. Rose and the Doctor Double are able to be a thing and grow old together as well, which is nice. Back in the TARDIS, Donna begins to short circuit as her brain cannot handle the sheer breadth of information the Time Lord side of her has, and thus the Doctor is forced to wipe her mind of all memories of their adventures in order to save her. The Doctor returns her to Sylvie and Wilf and tells them that they can never tell her about their time together or her mind will literally explode. The Doctor shares a final goodbye with Wilf and leaves in the TARDIS alone once again. The finale of Series 4, and they really went all out for it. Off the jump, it's a really good finale that gives pretty much a nice fitting end to almost every character that we've grown to love and tolerate since the beginning of the Davies era with the entire revival of Doctor Who. This episode really does feel like a culmination of this era of New Who, as we go into the special from 2009 and the changing of showrunner to Stephen Moffat later on, as well as the next Doctor of it being Matt Smith. The finale does a lot in a meta sense of wrapping up a lot of the loose ends from this era, and I felt like they were all wrapped up fairly nicely with just enough wiggle room and just enough looseness to them that they could explore some things later on. Namely, they could bring back Torchwood to show that. Namely, they could bring back Martha and Unit and show what they're doing there. You could say what was going on with Sarah Jane. I know it's a bit difficult now, given the fact that the actress has actually passed away 2 years after these specials, or after the specials aired. So it is very sad. But, you know, they can still offer that stuff. And they still technically gave a nice fitting ending to Rose as well. Basically just wrapping up the entire romance storyline from Doctor Who. So, yes, thank you. Just leave that in the Davies era. They don't, unfortunately. They bring it back. But Rose is left in the Davies era, sadly. But again, I like Rose. Rose I think is okay. But I think ultimately this whole thing is just good. I think it's just a good ending. The only one who doesn't get a good ending, which I think sucks for the entirety of this episode and the entirety of this series, is Donna. And it sucks as well because Donna was such a great companion throughout the entirety of her series and previously because of the Christmas special, that having her ending be the fact that her memories get completely wiped or she dies feels bad. That just feels really bad, especially since right before then we finally get the culmination of her character arc and her journey where she finally realizes, I am good enough. I am enough. I have a certain set of skills. My set of skills are actually meaningful and valuable in this world, and I know what I want to do with my life, and I want to travel with the Doctor, and I want to help people wherever I go. And then she gets her mind wiped, so she's back to square one and has no clue of anything that happened. And I'm like, come on, really? Really? Is it just because you didn't want to have Donna come with the next Doctor? Yes, that's probably what it was. It just sucks for the ending for Donna. Luckily, they did bring her back for the 60th anniversary specials, and they retconned a lot of that stuff, and it's fine now, I guess. And she got a happy ending finally, so yay, Donna got a happy ending. But overall, the ending to the Davies era, technically speaking until we get to the specials, the ending of the Davies era with Series 4, I thought was still a really, really solid ending. And I think it was a lot better than the previous series finale of Series 3, where everything actually got wrapped up really nicely, and we got a nice ending to a lot of the characters that we grew to love throughout the Davies era as well. And it gets a 4 out of 5 for me, and it's a pretty great ending. Episode 14, The Next Doctor. The annual Christmas special is technically the start of the 4 specials that were done to end the Davies era of New Who, but I'm still counting it here for Series 4 because this is my video. Anyway, the special finds the Doctor taking a trip to London in 1851 on Christmas Eve. The city looks very Dickensian as the Doctor walks around enjoying the smiles and cheer of everyone. However, this is almost immediately interrupted by the screams of a girl named Rosita yelling for the Doctor. Hearing this, the Doctor runs to her aid only to find that she was yelling for another finely dressed man, played wonderfully by David Morrissey, who says that he is the Doctor. The duo of doctors work together to try and catch a strange furry Cyberman-looking creature that turns out to be called a Cyber Shade. After the chase, the 2 doctors observe a funeral for a Reverend Aubrey Fairchild, then break into Fairchild's house. While there, the Doctor begins to question the next Doctor as a future regeneration, but proceeds anyway to learn more. During the investigation, the next Doctor explains that the Cybermen had been linked to a series of murders and child abductions across the city. The 2 then find a pair of info stamps that the Cybermen used to store large amounts of information, and had been using them to update their own knowledge of history. However, the next Doctor also mentions that he was holding onto one the night he lost his memories, which is also the night he believes to have regenerated. The investigation is interrupted by a Cyberman attack, which they are able to fend off with the use of the info stamps to overload the Cybermen and short-circuit them. Meanwhile, Miss Mercy Hardigan leads a platoon of Cybermen to the funeral, deletes a bunch of the mourners, and turns a number of them into servants using the ear pods from the parallel Earth. Back with the doctors, the real Doctor learns that the first victim of the Cybermen attack was a man named Jackson Lake, whose luggage the next Doctor and Rosita have, and confirm that this next Doctor is not a future Doctor, given that his TARDIS is a hot air balloon. The Doctor believes that they have an explanation as to what's going on, and explains that the next Doctor is Jackson Lake, and during the night he lost his memories, he took in the information from an info stamp, and it made him believe that he was the Doctor after his brain entered into a fugue state given the trauma of what had happened. Jackson finally remembers what happened. The Cyberman killed his wife and kidnapped his son. The revelations are interrupted by a disturbance outside, where the group see a large group of children being marched into an area guarded by Cybermen. The Doctor and Rosita attempt to sneak in, but are confronted by Miss Hardigan, who basically says she's working with the Cybermen because they gave her a sense of freedom. The Cybermen repair their memory and remember who the real Doctor is, but Jackson shows up and helps the others escape. Miss Hardigan then goes to the top of their child-powered machine and marvels at the work done, only to be informed that she is going to be the one piloting it. The Doctor, Jackson, and Rosita infiltrate the machine and begin evacuating the children, while also finding Jackson's son. However, the Cyber King, the big machine that was being built, has enough power, and Miss Hardigan has been converted to its controller, and thus a massive mech of the Cyber King, yes, because it's a giant-ass mech, rises from the Thames and towers above London. The Doctor then rushes to the balloon TARDIS and takes it for its maiden voyage to stop the Cyber King, which is done after offering to take her and Cybermen to a safe place where they can live. Of course, they refuse, and the Doctor is forced to use a dimensional vault to trap them all in a time vortex. As the special comes to a close, Jackson convinces the Doctor to come to a Christmas celebration, to which the Doctor eventually agrees, and said that of all the people that could have been the Doctor, they're glad it was Jackson. So the final episode in Series 4, as I am calling it by my own metrics, is yet again a beautiful episode that I think is almost perfect. And so far, there's a track record of the Christmas specials that are just really good. I have really liked pretty much all the Christmas specials so far from New Who. I thought they've all been really, really good and told really great stories. But either way, Voyage of the Damned is still a hard bar to reach for a Christmas special. This one gets really close. Like, really, really close. I absolutely love the idea of the Doctor meeting a future incarnation of themselves, and it kind of harkening back to the 2, 3, 5 Doctors specials that we got back in Classic Who that they haven't really done much of in New Who outside of, like, big events for obvious reasons, because they keep retconning the fact the Doctor can't meet themselves, even though they have a lot in the past, and then retcon it again, 60th special, whatever. But either way, I do like that idea. I do really like the idea, and it lays the idea and the groundwork in the audience's head, just like I mentioned before, with other things as well, that there can be times that we see multiple Doctors together, and it's a really cool idea. Also, David Morrissey playing this next Doctor of playing Jackson Lake, I thought was brilliant, because David Morrissey feels like he could have been the actual Doctor. Like, he has that Doctor feel to him, and I really liked him as the Doctor. So, like, if they ever brought him back as the Doctor, or as a different Time Lord, I'd be here for it. I'd be 100% here for it, because I loved his portrayal of this character, and I loved his interactions with David Tennant's 10th Doctor as well. because you felt that Doctor presence in him. Like, he felt like a Time Lord. He felt like the Doctor. He was there. He wanted to help people. It was great. Also, all the inside references to Doctor Who as a whole, and having the Doctor notice them and question them as well, added a sense of fun to the episode, knowing that David Morrissey Doctor wasn't the Doctor, but it's like, wait a minute, that's not a sonic screwdriver, that's just a screwdriver. Or like, wait, that's just a balloon. So like, that kind of funny as well. Bringing back the Cybermen, again, feels a little tired at this point, just like bringing back the Daleks. However, I love the Cybermen just in general, so I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass here. The only downside of the episode is it just felt just a little bit too long. It's a special, it's allowed to though. And that Miss Hartigan, the main antagonist, didn't make for a really compelling antagonist outside of the Cybermen. Like, the Cybermen themselves are already good enough antagonists because they have a single-minded goal of make more Cybermen. So having a human also leading the Cybermen didn't feel necessary to me, but she's there, she's fine. I wish we got a little more with her, but whatever. With all that being said, I thoroughly love this episode a lot. This is one of my favorite Christmas specials of New Who, and I really want them to bring back David Morrissey as somebody else in this whole franchise, because I think he's great. And I love the sincerity at the end of the Doctor basically saying, hey, if anyone could have been the Doctor, I'm glad it was you. And just kind of accepting that there are other people out there that are doing the right thing, that are doing good, and that do kind of carry on this message that the Doctor brings as well of saving people, helping the planet, helping the world. And that's just a cool thing. I'm giving this episode a 4.5 out of 5. And I think it's a great ending to Series 4, even though I know it's not the actual ending, it was the first of the specials. Don't tell me, I know. This is my own metrics here, okay? So now you're all probably wondering, but Minty, where are the 3 remaining specials for the rest of Tennant's run? I know, I'm going to do them, okay? This video is already behind schedule as it is. I'm going to do them in a separate video and kind of have it as like a whole wrap-up to Davy's entire era of Doctor Who. So we'll get them, okay? We'll get them. It might take me a month to do them, but we will get them. But also, everything else, though, for the series, based on the ratings alone, I love this whole series. There were only a couple of episodes that were actually lower than a 4, which is kind of amazing to say, given the track record of the previous 2 series with David Tennant. But having Donna as a companion and having Catherine Tate there as well, showing how genuinely funny she is, adds a level of sincerity to this entire season, or entire series, that I felt was lacking a little bit in the previous ones. Donna being introduced as the Doctor's friend rather than a romantic lead was such a welcome change. It felt so nice having the Doctor just traveling with a companion, being their companion, not their lover, and just exploring the universe, having adventures. That felt cool. I did also love, because of that, there were a lot of jokes about like, oh yeah, you're just a couple, right? And they're like, no, we're not a couple. We are not a couple. I promise you we're not a couple. And it's like, that's fun, which also made the shock value kiss in the Unicorn and the Wasp even funnier, because everyone involved with that was like, yeah, no, this is literally just to save the Doctor, and it's something that Donna probably has been wanting to do, but also is like, I don't have feelings for you, man. I don't. I think you're my friend. Because let's be honest, there are sometimes friends just want to kiss each other. And you know what? That's alright. You know, it's okay to do that. Consent, though. Consent. But it just felt nice. It felt nice, and it changed the dynamic of the Doctor and Companion that we've seen so far for the better, which is really cool to see all these space adventures, and it was really good. Also, Donna's whole family that we know of so far is cool. Like, yes, Sylvia's kind of annoying a bit. She's kind of a naggy mom, but she's not as bad as Jackie, because Jackie we got a lot more of, and Jackie was just annoying, to say the least. Sylvia's fine. We don't get enough of her to make her fully annoying, and the stuff that she actually does do felt kind of alright. And yeah, I know Jackie did change a little bit by the end of her series, and was a bit helpful, but it's still Jackie. Like, I like making fun of Jackie sometimes, okay? And then there's Wilf. And then there's Wilfred. Wilf is just one of the most beloved characters in all of Doctor Who, and I will fight anyone on that fact. He's just great. Everyone loves Wilfred. That's why everyone kind of like cried when he appeared in the 60th anniversary special, because everyone loves Wilf. He's great. Everyone loves his man. He's awesome. Bernard Cribbins, one of the best people. Like, he's awesome. So Wilf is great. I love Wilf. The other cool thing about this series that I thought was really, really well done, and is kind of furthered in the specials as well, is the fact that David Tennant kind of finally knew what he wanted to do with the 10th Doctor, and the writers finally knew who the 10th Doctor was at this point as well. So the Doctor felt like an actual character now. Like, it only took them 2 series for both the writers and David Tennant to figure out who they are, but we finally got the 10th Doctor, and he felt cool. And the whole idea of the 10th Doctor being this, like, roaming helper that has a little bit of, like, some rage in him from previous incarnations, but is just super smart and, like, erratic and kind of a little kooky, but there, and has a genuine heart for humanity and genuine heart to help people and wants to save people and wants to kind of rectify the wrongs of his past as well, felt really compelling and felt really cool. I loved it. David Tennant's acting also knocked it out of the park in the season, or this series. And even though I didn't like the episode, his acting alone in Midnight sold it for me for this series. Like, sold it. It's like Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, and Midnight. Those 2 episodes back to back to back are some stellar acting from David Tennant, and really solidifies that he is a good Doctor. Might not be my favorite Doctor of New Who, but he is a really good Doctor. So, like, I'm glad he actually finally got a chance to shine. So, Series 4 was easily my favorite series so far in New Who, introducing some of my favorite episodes of New Who, of The Unicorn and the Wasp, Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. Those are all great, while only having a few episodes ranking below the ranking of, like, fine. Catherine Tate was a wonderful bright spot in the series, and David Tennant was finally able to show who the 10th Doctor really was, right before his time came to a close. Also bringing together all the spin-off series that I haven't actually watched any of felt really cool, because it actually brought in the universe a little bit, while still mentioning, like, yeah, there's a universe outside of just Doctor Who, which is why I really want more spin-offs from this show. Like, this show has been on long enough, it should have way more spin-offs than it does. But either way, and having the finale be like this massive crossover event, also a really cool idea, and I really like the whole aspect of it. While there are still a few specials left, I thought the ending of Davy's era felt really good. And after averaging the scores of all of the episodes and rounding a little bit, we get a Series 4 score of 4 out of 5, which does in fact beat the other 2 series of 3.5 out of 5, which is right in the middle. It does beat that at a 4 out of 5, and I did round a little bit down. It was at like a 4.2 out of 5, I think, but still, I think it was really good, and I still really love this series. Now, yes, we still have the remaining 3 specials, and those ones are going to be interesting, because those actually do see the end of the 10th Doctor, and do see the end of the Davies era as well. But until next time, that's going to be the end of this retro reviewspective of Doctor Who's Series 4, the 10th Doctor's 3rd series, and the one with Donna Noble. I thoroughly love the series as well. Let me know down in the comments below what were your thoughts about Series 4 and also Donna as well as a companion, and what you remembered or what your thoughts just overall were about this series in general. What episodes did you like? What episodes did you hate? What things did you like or not like just in general about this series? And do you like how it ended as well? And also what are your thoughts about the Christmas special? I like Christmas special a lot. What do you think about it? So let me know all that down in the comments below. And if you want to see more from the channel and want to help out as well, leave a like. It helps out in the long run, helping more people see the channel, because it boosts everything up in the algorithm as well. And if you like what you saw here and want to see more, go ahead and subscribe down below. We're on the pathway to 1,000 subscribers here at the time of this upload, so that would mean a lot to me if you did subscribe and help out and you wanted to see more as well. And if you do want to see more, right over here is going to be a playlist for the rest of the Doctor Who videos I have uploaded. Go ahead and watch that as well. And over here is going to be a video that YouTube recommends for you as well. And until next time, just stay Doctor Whoing, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, allons-y, everyone. Allons-y.